Thank you for joining us for another episode of Beyond the Listing, where we discuss the business of real estate and its associated vendors in a non-listing environment. I am your host, Jeremy Madore, and today I am sitting with...
Hi, I'm Tracy Harding. I'm an attorney at DR Law Nest Title Company. We have offices in Westford, Nashua, New Hampshire, where we do New Hampshire closings. We also have a satellite office in Chelmsford and a satellite office in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for coming into the studio today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
You're quite welcome. Quite welcome. You've been in the studio before, yes?
I have been,
Yep.
and I came to do a headshot here before, which was a fabulous experience because I met Kristen, and I've never had a professional headshot in my life.
Okay.
I had someone randomly take pictures of me in the past, and they were never good, and I had a headshot on our website for years that I did not like, and I didn't feel like
You just put up with it?
Yeah, it was actually one time we had one that my hair for some reason looked blonde, which I don't have blonde hair. It was a really bad picture. And then another time it just really made me look, I did not like it at all. And Kristen said, you should come and get headshots. And I came, I was super nervous. And you guys took 5 zillion pictures. I think I changed my clothes 3 times. And I loved the pictures. They came out absolutely fabulous. I've told everyone about it since.
Wonderful.
I actually didn't end up just buying one. I bought 7 pictures because I couldn't decide which ones.
All right.
And I could use them for different things. Like I have a different one on LinkedIn and I use a different one for my phone.
So you're actually actively using them differently?
100%.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes, I love it because I had different looks of like one time I had a suit jacket on and I was like, maybe that's the more professional one. And other time I had a sweater on. So I loved it. And I think everyone should come and get their headshot done.
Well, thank you for the plug. I appreciate that.
And I actually left a positive review online, which I always ask people for reviews in my office.
Sure.
But I actually never really leave reviews, I've found out. And I did because I had such a great experience that I literally have told everyone about it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tracy.
So I'm glad to be
appreciate
back
that.
here.
Well, we're glad to have you back here.
No?
When Kristen had suggested having you in the studio, I just wanted to kind of get to know, a little bit of your background. So I went on the title site and I saw, obviously a little bit of a quip for you, but I'd like to get to know you a lot more, personally than that. So why don't you just kind of start me off from scratch? You before we got on air, you had talked about going to school in Kentucky, you said?
Yeah, I went to UMass Amherst for undergrad.
Okay.
I'm from Groton, Massachusetts.
Okay.
My husband's from Westford, Massachusetts, so we're from here. And then I went to the University of Louisville for law school. We lived in Kentucky actually for 6 years, and I loved it. I thought it was fabulous. And then I graduated law school and I got a federal clerkship, which is an important job working for a judge in Boston. So I got that when I was in my last year of law school and we decided to move home so I would have that job and my husband wanted to. I had dragged him to Kentucky with me.
Okay.
And he was anxious to move back to Massachusetts.
Oh, all right. Yep. Wonderful.
Yep. Basically what happened is I was supposed to start law school in 1995 in Boston. And last minute, in July, I decided I didn't want to go to law school in Boston. I didn't want to rack up all this debt, and I wanted to move to Louisville, Kentucky, because I had an aunt that lived there, and I visited it, and I decided I wanted to move there.
Understood. Okay, all right. So did you use your aunt's home as a landing pad?
Yeah, first I moved in with her.
Okay.
For a couple of months, and I asked my husband, or his boyfriend at the time, because we were 20 years old, and I said, do you want to move to Kentucky? And he said, no, this is ridiculous. I don't want to move to Kentucky. I've never even been there.
Sure.
And I said, well, I think I want to live there. And he's like, all right, so if you like it at Thanksgiving time, I will move there with you.
Okay.
So Thanksgiving came, and he thought, you will never like it.
Sure.
Were
you already down there at that point?
Yeah, I moved down in September, and I stayed from September to Thanksgiving.
Got it.
I came home Thanksgiving. We got engaged.
You called in the chips.
And I said, I like it. You want to move there? And he said, all righty then. And he did. He picked up, and we moved there.
Oh, good
and
man.
then I got a job working as a paralegal at a law firm.
In Kentucky?
In Kentucky. I worked at a high-volume personal injury law firm.
Okay.
And I was 20 years old. And
this was while you were going to school?
No, I hadn't started school yet. Because I
Oh.
hadn't even applied to school then in Kentucky. I just put law school on hold and just
Got
said,
it.
I got a deferment for a year and said, I'm going to just move to Kentucky. I'm going to see if maybe I'll go to the University of Louisville instead. Maybe I'll do something different. Sure. And then I worked at a high volume personal injury law firm. And I tend to talk fast. I know this. And I got down to Kentucky and everyone talks super slow. And I got down there with a Boston accent, talking fast. And I'm like, all the time type personality.
New Englanders tend to do that, but that's fine.
Everyone was super chill and talk slowly. And
did they find it abrasive?
I think sometimes they did.
Okay.
I remember once in law school, someone in a competition, a judge said to me, you must have a nerve. It took him forever to say it too because he talked so slow. But he was basically saying that I must have a nervous ability, like a nervousness, that when I get nervous, I must talk fast. And I said, no, it's because I'm from Massachusetts. We all talk fast. This is just me. Sure. So it was tough for people to understand me at times. So I worked as a personal injury paralegal for years, and then I went to law school after I got in-state residency. And then I worked full-time. My first year of law school, I went to night school. And then I quit my job, and I went to law school the next 2 years.
Okay. When did you get married?
I got married in the middle of law school in the year 2000.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. All right.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been together for 30 years, and now we've, 31 years, I should say, and been married since 2000.
All right. Okay. So you had a busy time in life there.
Busy time in life.
Really busy. And you had mentioned to me that you have a child.
I have one daughter. We have a daughter that is 20,
now?
and she's in college.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
And she goes to school out of state, and she's probably never coming back here, which is sad, but it's so exciting.
Well, you say that, but you went to Kentucky and you came back.
I did, but that's because my husband was from here. Our boyfriend's from Jersey, so she's probably never coming back.
What state is she in now?
Jersey.
She's in Jersey. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Last summer she went to Colorado for the summer. This summer she went to New Mexico for the summer.
Okay.
Next summer she's going back to New Mexico.
So she's doing the traveling bit.
She's doing the traveling. She's done. We live in Dunstable, so she's probably wants to explore the world, which I think is great.
It's a good time of life to do
job.
For sure.
But now you have a senior too in high school, right? And then so next year you deal with something.
So we're not actually sure how that's all going to pan out because here's the thing. During COVID, the University of Maine system, they decided that any high schooler, any child that was entering high school by the time COVID rolled around. So if your freshman year was in COVID, which is what our oldest is, then by the time you graduate, you get 2 years of in-state community college tuition for free.
Okay.
And so she's opted to go that route to save that first 2 years. And it's just the tuition basis itself, not the books, no Madore and all like that. And it's community college. It's not one of the universities. It's under the UMaine system, mind you. So it is, UMaine education. It's just through their community college locations.
That's fabulous.
Right? And so I don't know if she's going to be staying home and doing that, or if she's going to be moving closer to Portland, because we're about an hour outside of Portland.
Okay.
So it's not really like it's an okay commute if you want to do that.
Right.
And she has a reliable vehicle, but it's one of those things that maybe it's not her bag, right? So we'll see.
Right.
We'll see. But no, we're definitely.
That's a great program.
We're feeling it. We're feeling old.
Yeah,
right?
that's what happens. I feel much younger than I am. I definitely do. I feel like. Yep, but then my daughter went away, and I was like, I think for the first year, I could have cried at any moment when someone's like, "Where is your daughter?" I'm like, "She's gone." But then I'm like, I did my job. I raised her, and that's what we're supposed to do.
All you can hope to do. And if you can look back on that and say, I made some mistakes, I made some successes, and honestly, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Right.
I think you've done well.
Yeah.
What is your daughter involved in as far as is she going to college?
She goes to college. She does engineering and she runs track and field in college. So she's super busy, like all seasons of every sport. Just runs cross country, indoor, outdoor track, and she's like me. She's just a go.
She's active.
Go type personality. That's my husband's like.
Do you sit and do nothing?
No, I never sit and do nothing.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah. I don't think ever.
I'm similar. You physically not so much, but my mind's always on something. I don't do the whole R&R thing
Yeah.
very well. My R&R is to go do something somewhere else.
Yes, that's what it is. My husband will
active
take me
vacation.
somewhere like to do something because then he's like, then you can't just be working or you can't just be doing, you can't be at
Agreed.
home because you just can't sit still. Like,
So he's figured it out.
he's like, yeah, you gotta. We used to go to New Hampshire all the time to Winnipesaukee when
Yep.
our daughter was younger, and then when she left, we kind of just moved on and did other things. So
What's the other things looking like these days?
well, I golf a lot. I'm not very good at it, but I'm
It's
getting
okay.
better. And
I don't golf at all, and I'm not good at it. So you got me up.
I learned 2 years ago. I actually used to golf in Kentucky because golf was after 4 p.m. It was $5 at the county golf courses.
Okay.
And so we would golf all the time because it was just $5.
It's cheap, yeah.
And I never took lessons. I would just drop a ball. I'd hit another ball. I'd do bad. I'd hit another ball. That's how I played. I never kept score. I never knew anything. I don't even remember. We just went to the golf courses and just walked. I never knew how I was doing ever. So I never got better because I never even tried. I was just out there walking around. It was fine. And it was $5. Who cares, right?
Sure.
And then a couple
Cheap
years ago,
entertainment.
my husband was like, "Do you want to golf?" And I said, "No, I don't want to golf. No."
Does he
No.
already?
He hadn't. He kind of like off and on did.
Okay.
And then when our daughter went to school, he's like, "All right, do you want to join a couples golf league?" And I said, "Well, I don't know if I want to because then what if everyone's there yelling at me and they're like good golfers and then
Sure.
I'm not?" And
I can see that. There's some pressure there, yeah.
and I'm competitive and I don't want to be like the
I got
worst
that.
one out there,
I got
right?
that, yeah.
And so we ended up going and we joined a golf league in Groton, the country club there, and everyone was super friendly, super nice, and I was like,
Is
"Oh,
that the
I
one
love
that's
it."
right next to the public house?
Yeah, right next to the public house.
Love,
Public
love
house
that
is
place.
great.
I did all the
That's
food
exactly-
photography, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
I did.
Yeah,
They might have
I love that
updated it
place.
since, but when they first opened, I had done all of the menu for them. And
Oh,
everything.
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that place.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
We go there a lot, and
It
it's
is fantastic.
right next to the country club, so that actually works out good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how many days a week do you find yourself there?
Well, I tend to work more than the average. Like, I work a lot. On
Do
the
you enjoy
weekends,
it, though?
I do. That's what
Okay.
it is. So
Good.
it is not me
Continue.
complaining by any means. Like
I don't hear that.
But sometimes people are like, "Oh, why do you work so much?" And I'm like, "I don't know, because I can't sit still." So
Yeah.
if I'm not working, I'm golfing.
So
Or I go running. I do
productivity
that,
is your drug.
Yes, that's what it is,
Yeah.
And when people, if it's like slow or you have nothing to do, like that's the worst, right?
Yeah,
I want
it is.
something to do.
You go out of your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did go to Groton Country Club last night,
Okay.
actually, and the public house is right there. So
Yeah.
we're like, oh,
Hey, it's a
and you
twofer.
see people, right? And I'm like, well, we don't have a child at home. We don't have any food at home. So
Is it 9 or 18 holes?
it's 9.
9 holes. Okay.
9 holes.
How long does that usually take? I know nothing.
Okay, 9 holes in Groton is fast. You can do it in an hour and a half.
Oh,
It's
okay.
short. Then we go to Northern Spy, which is a country club in Townsend.
Okay.
So we joined there after a realtor friend recommended there, and we started going there. And that's an 18-hole private course. It takes longer. It's much nicer. Like Groton's a public course. There's just complete difference. But we end up going to both because Groton's closer to our house, and Townsend's like nicer. It's a little further drive.
Sure.
But so I'm there at Townsend on the weekends. Like that's what we do. And then my husband and I say disc golf's like 6 days a week.
Oh, he does?
But he loves it. I was like, that works out perfect because if I'm working, he's golfing,
That's awesome.
and it works for us.
Huh.
You
Where
know?
does he disc golf?
Oh, regular golf,
Oh,
not disc golf.
oh.
He just golfs.
Oh, just golfs. I thought you said
golfs.
disc golfs.
No.
I'm like, see, I can talk about that.
I've done that before.
Yeah?
I loved that.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, is there enough time to do it all? That's the thing.
Okay, so you have
know?
to pick a path kind of thing.
That's what it is.
Yeah, all
Like
right,
pickleball.
all right.
People do pickleball now.
Yeah, we actually had that conversation in the office earlier today.
Have you ever tried it?
No.
I haven't either.
No.
But then I don't feel like there's time. Like I feel like until I master regular golf, I can't pick up pickleball because then how would you, well, not master, but like how do you?
No, I get what you're saying. You're talking about get good enough at it.
Yeah.
Where you're somewhat feeling accomplished.
Yeah.
Right? Not necessarily
is.
proud of yourself per se, because
Yeah.
are we ever?
Right.
But more along the lines of like, hey, I'm not too bad.
Correct.
Type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't pick up a bunch of different talents, if you would, or not talents, hobbies.
Right.
And do them all kind of
Correct.
right? You
Yep.
have to do something good enough where you're like, yes, I golf.
That's what it is. That's
Yeah.
what I think. I feel
Yeah.
like there's not enough time to do something, and I gotta go. When I do something, I feel like I gotta go
Do
full
it well.
force. Like
Exactly.
I didn't used to run, and then I decided I wanted to run.
Mm-hmm.
So I started running, and I ran like a little, and then I instantly like had to hire a running coach, learn how to run better. Then I ran a marathon because it's just gotta be like you just
got
gotta
it.
you gotta do it,
I got
and
it.
then I was like, all right.
So if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well.
100%.
All right. So when it comes to closings and titles and all the other stuff that comes along with that, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well.
100%.
So you take that into your professional life.
I do. I think I'm a perfectionist when it comes to things, which is a good thing or bad thing at times.
Perfectionist or high standards?
Well, I like to be a perfectionist. I wish I was perfect. If I was a superhero, perfection would be my superpower.
Okay.
I don't know. My daughter says you can't have that as a superpower.
Perfection based on what? I have to challenge you here. This is a good conversation.
Just based upon no mistakes. Like, I don't like if there's a mistake in something, like a typo in something, or you're looking at something like, I want the client to have the best experience possible.
Okay.
And I want them to be able to sell their house in the future. I want the realtor to be happy because they're my referral source 99% of the time. Loan officer.
Okay.
I want everyone to feel like they had the best experience possible. Always.
Fine. I agree, and I can on board with that 100%. What I don't take objection, but I have to be very clear here. I'm not against the words that you're using. I'm just trying to understand their definition according to you.
Yeah.
Right? Because perfectionism is impossible.
I know that.
Right? And you know that you know that, right? Okay.
I know.
So here comes undone. Okay, all right. However, there are elements of our jobs, our tasks, our careers, our hobbies that we can in fact perfect to their most logical ability. Right? And is that what you're striving for?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There you go.
I like people to be happy. I like to get a good review after. I like the referral source to be happy that the client's saying, I'm glad I hired her.
Okay.
I'm glad I used that firm. Like, I have a great team. I'm glad that everyone leaves. I'm the last person they see. So they hire a realtor. They hire a loan officer. They come in. If everything's not perfect, if they have any anger towards anyone.
That's where it comes out.
Except I'm sitting across the table. And if the people that they're angry at, like if they know they're angry at them, then they're not there.
Sure.
They're just sitting with me. And I'm like, hello. Wow. You know, that's the downside.
I never thought of that.
I'm the last person they see. You
could cut the tension with a knife in that room.
Sometimes, yeah.
Man.
Or they tell me I don't like my realtor. And then their realtor shows up and I'm like, well, this is awkward. You know, but I'm always like the sunshine and rainbows. I want people to be happy and trying to.
I get it.
You know.
Can I ask a couple questions about your family life?
Sure.
Growing up, how many siblings?
I did not have the best family life growing up, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't really discuss it overall.
Okay. That's okay.
I think I learned a lot of positiveness from having a bad childhood.
There you go. That's kind of
that's
where I was going with it.
It's 100%. Is that I have taken any negative energy that has been in my life or bad things that have happened, and I turn everything into a positive.
So your fix for your childhood, if you would, is to make sure that your adulthood is not a repetition of your childhood.
100%.
Okay.
100%. I set different standards, and I just, I think we all learn from everything in our life, whether it's a positive or a negative.
Yeah.
And I surround myself now with positive people, and if you have negative energy, then you're just not allowed in my life.
There's no room for you.
100%.
Yep.
Because you just kind of make your own family, and you just kind of...
You do.
You deal with things as they happen. Yeah.
Tracy, I like this.
Yeah, see, I do too. This is actually, I was a little stressed about coming and chatting because I wasn't sure how it was all going to work. But,
this is how it works.
This is actually, yeah.
And it's funny because I can't remember what episode are we on, Keith? Like 18?
No, more than that.
20, 25?
20-something.
I don't know.
You might tape some before they're out there.
It's been a year since our first episode aired. This is episode 24. 24. Okay, so it's episode 24. So of the 24 people that have sat here, I would say a good half of them have had that same hang up, if you will, coming into the studio, where they're like, oh, what are we going to talk about? I'm like, what do you want to talk about? You know, and the truth of the matter is the best conversations that I've had so far have been not about real estate. It's been about people, because that's what
we do. I mean, that's what our we're all about relationships. Like, that's how we get business, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we deal with realtors, and then I meet a realtor. We deal with them. We're friends with them. Yeah. That's how we get business. They come in the closing. They see me, or they chat with me. They text me. They call me. They meet my personality, and they're like, oh, okay, I can work with her. You know, that's just... I have a high-pitched, squeaky, bubbly voice. That's just... I don't consider it to be high-pitched or squeaky, for what it's worth. I feel like it is, but, that's
we are our own worst critics.
Maybe. Yes.
I listen to this playback and I hate how my voice sounds.
I feel like you have the perfect voice for this.
It grinds on me. Yeah. It grinds on me. I hear my own voice. Like, so Jen, my wife, she does all of our socials.
Okay.
And so one of the things that we do with these podcasts is that we cut 60-second or so clips.
Okay.
And we advertise the podcast that's coming up by showing those preview clips.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that when you post on socials, I don't know how much you are on social media, but they have like all these different things that you can do for like stories and shorts and reels and all this kind of other stuff, right? And so she'll use all these different outlets to post these clips, and she'll do it with her sound on her computer or on her phone. And I'm sitting in my office at my desk, and she's over there behind me doing it on, in her own area. And I'm like, oh, stop.
That's
I don't want to hear my voice anymore, And it gets to the point where I'm like, all right, I got to go do something else. Cause like, I can't, like, it's not that I hate my voice. It's that I just don't like how I sound on recorded audio.
I never make videos. I put pictures out, like random pictures, but I never make videos because I never see myself in a video. And then I do, and I go,
And that's why I don't make videos.
I don't make videos. That's exactly the case. I was like,
bias confirmation much?
It's just a tends to be, or I take bad selfies and I try to post pictures, like, because I do try to do a lot on social media to get business, like things. So
it's a necessary evil of sorts. Am I
it
right?
is. Yeah. It is, because if you're not out there, I feel like you're losing business. Like,
that's why I have people to do it, because I know full well that even if I did do it well, I don't have time in the day to do enough of it well.
Right.
And furthermore, I don't think that I do it well, and I'm my own worst critic. And so I let perfection get in the way of progress.
Right.
And so for me, it's a debilitator. And I know that, so like, I don't know what you know about my personal life or whatever, but we're in the process of building.
Oh, I saw it. The pictures. Right. It's amazing.
Thank you. So we're building the Airbnb next to our house. And it took everything that I could to just do the one-off video and not look back.
I thought it looked great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I looked at it and I'm like, but that was just it.
No, because everyone's like interested in that. And you're like, oh, because that's not something you see all the time. Well, that's something, people see it and you're like, oh, that's so interesting.
They see the finished product. They see the, concept complete kind of thing. I love the nitty gritty and the mess of the work in progress. I really enjoy that, but it grinds on me so much that it is in fact a work in progress and it's not perfect. That I yell at myself internally about that. Right. I'm like, but that, that tarp was in the backyard and there was a mess in the front yard. Who cares? It's that's a job your site. Video. It's a job site.
That's because you guys are perfectionists in what you do.
Correct.
And the pictures, so many realtors, they rave about the job that you do. But that's because you go in and you make the house look the way it's supposed to. Right. And you can see a listing. I look at the MLS every time when I'm doing a purchase and sale agreement. I look at some of them and I think, wow, they had no one do these pictures. Like, these pictures look bad, you know? And then you see pictures that you guys have done, and they look amazing. Like the simple things that you consider that other people don't. And I think, how did someone not notice the toilet seats like this, or the lampshade, or the sheets and the beds? And how did they not fix this before they listed the house,
Yep.
Like,
I agree with you on that. And I can even, if I decide, and it has to be a decision, if I decide to go down the rabbit hole of critiquing other photography companies or other photographers, portfolios, it can get messy.
But sometimes it's not a photographer. It might be, sometimes you just get an agent that goes out and I'm like, they should just really hire someone. They really should hire someone.
To me, that's the low hanging fruit. Like that's comparing like somebody who's traveling on a bicycle versus a car, right? And they're both modes of transportation, but they're fit for different things, right? I don't consider agent photography almost of any sort to be on par with professional photography.
It's not.
I would say that there are some pseudo-professional photographers that are either emerging in the industry who are still cutting their teeth maybe, or maybe they've plateaued and they think it's fantastic. It's not my place to judge, but I would say that once you get into the professional portfolio review, I could really pick apart a lot of images, even from our own, right? But the truth of the matter is, if it's near the finish line, I have to force myself, and this is important for me to say, I have to force myself to say, that's good enough. And the reason why I have to do that is from a business standpoint alone. If I hung up on those little tiny, crossing the T's and dotting the I's, if I hung up to that degree, we'd never get anything done around here.
Yeah,
right?
but you're drawing attention to like the finest little detail that the average person's not noticing.
Okay.
That's the difference.
And that's why I was really kind of teasing out what your definition of perfection was. Right?
Yeah, the person, I know.
Right?
I beat myself up if I feel like something wasn't perfect,
right.
even though other people have no idea none of it even mattered to
exactly.
them. And I'm like, I wish I just handled it a little different. But the client doesn't notice. They don't care. Like, it doesn't matter to them. They just want to buy a house.
Right. They
want to sell a house.
They do. So getting the deal done.
Yep.
And it's not through any means, right? Because we have, we really need to go to bed content with the work that we did, right?
100%.
If we know at the end of the day that we did our best, my wife wrote me a sticky and it's on my monitor and it's never left it. And I may not have had the best day, but I did my best today.
Yes, that's true.
And if we know categorically that at the end of the day, we have done everything that we can within our power to try to enact as much positive outcome as possible, then we've done our job.
Yeah.
We've done our job. And so if we keep ourselves from doing the best job, well, that's a whole other story.
Right.
Right. I can't force change in hindsight, right? Like if a photo has already been taken, there's nothing I can do about that, right? What I can do is I can help coach our photographers. I can help, have a feedback loop with them and try to get them to improve their item or whatever by catching some of the things. But the truth of the matter is I know that for my part currently, where I'm at in life is I'm working on helping grow people, not do better photos, but to grow people who do better photos.
Right. That's how you're going to grow and succeed.
That's the state of the business.
100%. Right.
So,
yeah.
Do you must have a paralegal?
Yep. We have several.
Several. Okay.
Yep.
Any insight, having been there yourself, how is that industry kind of working out?
I'd say it's tough to hire people.
Okay.
It is.
Let's talk about that.
It's, I think a lot of times we have people that unfortunately say they can do the job and then they can't. And then you interview them. And I say during an interview, this is a high stress job. I'm telling you 100%. And if you can't do the job, just tell me now. Just tell me because you're wasting my time. You're wasting everyone's time. Just tell me, please. I'm giving you an out. Like, I love that you're here and you're trying. But if you really can't do what we're asking you to do, just tell us. It's okay. We just end it now. Yeah. No, I'm positive I can do it. And then they show up and then they can't. And then I'm like, but now you've just wasted everyone's time. Like, it's frustrating.
Is there a gateway assessment of some sort that you guys can administer?
Oh, I've said before, I'm like, I think we need to test people. Like, I do. And then people are like, you're crazy. You can't do this. They have experience. But I'm like, I feel like at times you should because.
I think you should.
It just seems like it would save us time because they act like they can do it. We say, can you do a file from beginning to end? Have you done this? And they say, yes. And then, then we just start over. And I'm like, there's
got to be a better
That's what
way.
I think,
There's got to be a better way. So our retention for our employees is actually quite high overall. The only real fall off that we encounter is primarily because of the cost of commuting and the car maintenance because we travel everywhere with it, right?
Yeah.
And we try to pay aggressively, especially for the market segment. Photographers, photography is a very challenging career path for a lot of people because there's not a lot of photography jobs in a company format. There's a lot of solopreneurs, people that are just freelancers, right?
Yeah.
And the problem with freelance is that your work isn't always guaranteed, right? And so it's really a lot of self-starters and people that are just their own bosses kind of thing.
Certain personality too.
Exactly, right?
Able to do that.
So it's very hard to hire within that too. And we found that some of the best photographers that we've hired weren't photographers at all. They were people from other industries who were just looking to try something new. Or if they did photography before, it was a hobby for them. Right. And so, we just have, we had somebody come back from maternity leave. Maggie, she's been with us for 4 years this November.
Okay.
She started in COVID. And prior to that, she was at CVS. And so,
Interesting.
yeah. And she did hobby photography.
Yeah.
She did. And I looked at her hobby photography portfolio and I'm like, you know what? It's not objectionable. It's pretty good stuff.
Right.
She did families and newborns and stuff like that.
Okay.
Stuff that I hate doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the patience for it. I'm looking for like faster, better, quicker, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. A family with kids moving around.
No way.
That's not happening fast.
I can't take photos of my own kids, let alone someone else's, you know? You know, long and short of it though, is that we brought her on board, and the truth of the matter is that, you know, what she brought to the table wasn't anything that I would have prior to that hired for.
Yeah.
I started changing our hiring techniques. Instead of looking at somebody who on paper was a good photographer,
right.
I was looking for someone who on paper or even through interview was just a really good person.
Right.
Who wanted to be here.
Yes.
Because I can teach anybody anything who wants to be here.
Right. That is the tough thing. Is people want to work or want to.
Right.
Yeah. You feel like you want them to want to be part of the team.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think that for what we've built over here, the team environment that we've established is one of communication and trust and integration, like really good team environment, not just you're coming here, punching a clock, doing a job, right? Like we really try to elevate the individual as much as possible in the team by giving them all the tools that they can possibly receive to succeed. And the success part is up to them. Right. Right. They have to choose, they have to opt into it. Right. Because we can't develop that for them. It's up to them.
Right. You determine your own success and like how hard you try at something.
Yeah. And so our hiring practices, getting back to the paralegal thing, our hiring practices shifted drastically when I realized that some of the best photographers that we have weren't actually trained photographers. They were people who are good self-starters who understood the value of, you know, discovering something new, challenging themselves, who actually want to wake up in the morning and go to work because they enjoy that activity. Right. Instead of just saying, oh, I just, you know, that 9 to 5 paycheck, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah. That's not what we're looking for. Right. So, but yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So from a paralegal standpoint, I'd be curious to see if there's something in there. Do you guys hire through like Indeed? Like all of our hires have been through Indeed, by the way.
We have Indeed, and we've gotten referrals from people. We used a recruiter in the past. We've done different things. We do have someone new now, so you know things work out. It's just a matter of we'd always like to grow and have more business and get more staff. And staffing's always just an issue for us, and making sure that we have the right presentation to the clients, and because we want things done a certain way, you know, kind of strict on how we want things done, like just because it should be a certain way.
Because you have standards.
I have high standards. And,
it doesn't matter if they're high or low. You have standards, right?
Yeah. And I have a law license. I want to make sure things are done right. You know, like there can't be, like within reason, there can't be mistakes on things. Like I want people to be able to sell their house in the future and not have a title issue and not have a problem that the realtors refer me, and then 2 years later they go to sell it, and then there's a problem. Then the realtor's like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
You know?
And then it all comes back. Yeah.
I don't want that.
Arizona emissions license or something, or
like,
insurance, whatever.
That's what it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about how the company did throughout COVID and up until now. What kind of storms did you guys have to weather? Tell me a little bit about that.
So everyone thinks, you know, at COVID, oh, nobody worked. Everyone was just at home.
Oh no, you guys
we were doing closings all the time in person. Oh, yeah. That's what would happen. So we had like the shields, the plastic shields. We'd be sitting at a table like this. I'd be sliding papers underneath. For a while, it was outside. Yep. I was trying to do closings in the summer outside. And then I'm such an exaggerator. I'd be like, the wind's blowing and the papers are going everywhere. And my daughter's like, seriously, Mom, like this, is this really happening? But sometimes it did. Like papers were blowing around because...
Get some rocks.
You know, that's what it was. We did. I had a thing outside to put it down. I'd flip the papers and I'm like, because these are going to blow away. Yep. And just meeting people all the time. Like it was constant. And then it just kept getting busier and busier. Like that was the thing. Everyone else was like, oh, I just work at home. I'm like, I can never work at home. Not to mention, I'm not a work at home person ever.
I didn't gather that. No.
I have a home office.
It doesn't get used?
Yeah. It probably gets used before I go to work in the morning and at night. Yeah. When I'm still working.
And is it a storage facility in between?
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm like, my husband designed it. It looks really nice. And It looks the same as my office work, like the monitor, everything's set up. It's just, I don't want to sit at home all day. Like
Sure.
I like to get out and talk to people.
Interactive.
But COVID just kind of changed it, that it just became, you just kept getting busier and busier. Like, so, the real estate markets just was crazy. And then even talking to people after, like the market slowed down, but for us, we just keep getting busier.
Okay.
Like I keep getting, every day I feel like I'm getting new referrals from people. Yep. I'm getting a new agent. A new agent refers a business to me. I meet a new loan officer. They're like, you and your team did a great job. Now or next time, they come back. They keep coming back. So I keep getting more referral sources.
What's the reward for good work?
Fabulous.
What's the reward for good work is? More work.
More work. That's what it is, right? Yes, that is true. Yeah. But that's a good thing. Like,
it is.
We get more business. And I'm like, just give me, I feel like if I can meet an agent in person or have a conversation with them, then I can get them to try us once. They try us once, then I'm like, okay, then you're going to come back. Like, I know this. And if you get to meet me, because I feel like in person, I sound a lot different than I do in an email, because at times I'm matter of fact. I send off an email at times, people are like, that's harsh. I'm like, no, it's just
black and white.
It's just, yes, it is. It's 100%.
Yeah.
Here's what I need done. Do it.
Yeah.
Like, end of discussion.
Yeah.
So people on the other end of emails are like, you are not super friendly. You aren't. But then they meet me and they're like, oh, you are.
You are.
Like,
I can attest to that.
It's just,
you are.
That's what I am all the time.
Yeah.
It's just my emails just don't come across like that.
Right.
And I'm fighting for my client.
Sure.
So if you're on the other side, I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
Whether sometimes agents that I work with are on the other side of the transaction, and they're like, but we're on that side. And I'm like, I know, but you're on the other side now. Now I'm working for a different client this time. Like, you're on the other side of the transaction. You don't get special, like the client.
Yeah.
I don't, lower my standards for my client just because my referral source is on the other side of this
Good
transaction.
on you.
Like, you can't.
Tracy, that's fantastic.
That's what you're supposed to do. That's what they're always supposed to do.
To be able to, I understand that. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But there's Pinterest and then there's real life.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So you're supposed to always operate on your client's best interest, particularly as an attorney, right? Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the other side of the aisle, so to speak, right? Like the other side of the table, if you know that individual, it's hard to not pull punches, right? Because like there's that internal conflict, but leaving it at the door and realizing this is business, that's a skill set not many people have.
Well, thank you.
It isn't.
It's a transaction where that's what we're doing is our job every day. For each transaction, I want to do the best job possible, no matter who's on my side or like the
and being able to
of,
look somebody in the eye and say respectfully, you're wrong.
Yep. Yes, that's what it is. I had a discussion with an agent who refers a bunch of business to me, and recently he was on the other side of a transaction, and he called me and was basically like, you're being somewhat ridiculous. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not. And you're just mad that you're on the other side now.
Yeah.
But we're going to work together next time. And then you're going to have me on your side. Yeah. And that's okay. And then I'm going to be like this to someone else. And it's all going to work out.
Wow.
But that's just
I don't think that I could do your job.
It has to happen.
I don't think I could do your job.
I feel like I say it with a smile.
Hey, you know what?
And then they're like, well, you're really being mean. But I don't try to be. And I'm like, well, not.
If you're doing what needs to get done and somebody doesn't like it, sorry, feelings aren't facts.
Right. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like then we can go have a drink after and we're still friends.
Wow.
It's okay. But that's just how it works,
I'm so glad I'm sitting right here. All right. No, that's good. No, we don't tango with that a heck of a lot in our industry. No. From our side of the industry, rather.
Right.
Only because, homeowners don't normally know each other. Mm-hmm. Realtors know each other, and we hear a lot of this and that, right?
Who likes each other, who doesn't, 100%.
But it's what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas for us. What happens in the real estate environment stays in the real estate environment, or in that listing.
Right.
And so we try to be chameleons in that regard, and we don't have to worry about like a dual agency kind of thing, right? Because that's kind of sort of ish what it is, right? Like you have to play both sides effectively. You have to maintain that relationship beyond that little spat or argument, right? Because you're not fighting about opinions, you're fighting about facts, right?
Yes, 100%. I'm not fighting with the person over their personality or something. I'm fighting over the details of something, and then this is if it's wrong, like I stand for, and always trying to do my best. That's what. you know, random things, but.
Hey, no, it's good. That's good. I'm really, that's the conversation that I've talked to other real estate attorneys and closing offices and things. I've not had that conversation with anybody. And I never really thought about the ramifications or the implications of that client relationship now being reversed because the person that I know is actually the other side. And I can see that from an attorney to an attorney, right?
Right.
That's fine. You know, like you don't normally work with another attorney. You work usually against them.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's different. It's like an agent relationship, right? Buyer seller. Sometimes the seller is now the buyer. And that, you know, probably so
same thing.
Interesting. Any other interesting tidbits that the common, you know, the typical public might not know about some of the trials and tribulations that are happening?
There's so much that goes on behind the scenes in real estate that the clients don't know.
Oh, I know that.
There's like so much that sometimes people ask me, what could go wrong in this transaction?
Everything.
I'm like, oh my gosh, what could go wrong? Like,
do you have a day so I can define
I'm
them?
like, why do you want me to tell you this? Because if I tell you this, you're not going to be able to sleep at night.
No, you won't.
I tell them, I say, my job is to absorb the stress. My job is to just do this. And you just pack up your stuff and you get ready to move and you get super excited. Because if all the things that, like the random things that come up that are horrible that we have to deal with, like behind the scenes that people don't know about, or like like 2 Fridays ago, the post office, there was a deed that went missing, got delivered to an address that we had had mail forwarded. They said it was delivered. It wasn't there. We were like trying to track it down. I literally was at the post office myself saying, I need this. Like, we need to find it. Like, I'm not sure who I talked to, but I just need it.
Am I allowed back there to fix this
pretty
for
much.
you?
Like, I was like, I was in the Westwood post office and I'm like, okay, do I go to Chelmsford post office? They said, well, we think it's in Billerica. I'm like, do I go to the Billerica post office? I'll go anywhere. I just need this deed. I need this because people can't get in a house. And then it was this crazy story that it showed as delivered and it wasn't. The other attorney was yelling at me on the phone while I was in the post office going, well, it's delivered. I'm like, well, if it was delivered, I would have it. But I don't.
Because I'm not a hack.
I'm like, I just don't understand. So it's just like tracking down stuff. But the clients didn't know all of this is happening. They just know, because otherwise they're panicked. They're going to have a heart attack. They don't, they just kind of like, you know, recently we needed something from a court and I ended up trying to track someone down and I found someone that I worked with 20 plus years ago. Crazy in Boston at the Department of Revenue. I found out that she works at the court and I needed something and I found and got a hold of her and she got it for me. So it was like, you know, it's calling in favors of friends of stuff, you know? It is. I said, oh my gosh, we haven't talked forever. And she's like, well, good thing I liked you. Good thing you were nice when we worked together. And I was like, well, see, that is good. I mean, it's good that we work together and, you know, you're always maintaining the relationships for the future. Like you always want to. 100%. If I was a jerk, she said, if you were a jerk, you never would have got it. You would have been blocked right away. Right. It's always
Gatekeepers
important.
are a good thing with that regard.
And like you guys, like you do a great job and then you get out there and you meet an agent and you have a personal relationship with that agent. And that agent even might refer you might tell another agent who's a competitor to use you, even though they're technically all in competition.
It's always been sticky. I have to be honest. We have three types of agents. The ones that genuinely champion our business and they don't hold back from helping us advertise by either tagging us on socials, which is huge, by the way, if you're listening. We love being tagged on socials for 2 reasons. One, we love to get the credit for the work that we did.
100%.
It's fantastic.
Yes.
It feels so good, right? And 2, it really helps our numbers by getting our name in front of more people so that we're able to help more clients. Right. And there's no danger to it. And the reason why there's no danger to it is, so we grow. That doesn't mean that you're not going to have us available, because when we grow, I got a good brain. We grow effectively so that we don't pinch ourselves out of the market for people. Right. So when we grow, we always make sure that we add from the bottom and we are able to elevate our photographers up. And so if a client is doing a lot of business with us and then they refer us out, that doesn't mean that we're going to be able to have less contact with the client. It means that we're going to have another photographer that we now hired because we grew. Right. You know, we're not pinching ourselves out of anybody's market. So there's those realtors who really trust that and they dive into it. Then there's people on the exact opposite side of the fence who don't because they're worried that they're not going to get us for service.
Okay.
Because maybe prior to us, they were working on a one-on-one basis with a photographer. And when that photographer got too busy, they just took the higher paying client.
Okay.
That's not how we operate.
Right.
We have room for just the photography clients all the way up through the whole package clients. And we have 5 key products here at Madore Photography that we use to help people market homes. And some people they only use the photos and that's it. But then we got the floor plans and the drone and the video,
right.
the Matterport, and we have all these different options, right? But Keith, who's behind the camera right now, we try to reserve him for not just photos, but sometimes he goes out for just photos, and it's not one of those things like, oh, you're only getting photos, you're not going to get Keith. We have this kind of, this panning between different product services and stuff like that. And so a lot of people, they'll kind of like, not want to push our name out there because they're afraid they're not going to get service. Right. And so those are the second type. And then there's the third type who just don't ever, care either way,
right.
which way,
Do you ever think that they think that it's a selling point that they use you to a client versus an agent that doesn't? So they don't want to advertise to you because they're elevating another agent's success.
There is that element.
Because they're all competitors.
Yeah. So the agents are all competitors with each other. And if multiple agents share the same photographer, then it becomes a little bit of a 6 of one, half dozen the other relationship, right? And so there are those who keep it close to their vest and they say, I have an exclusive relationship with my photographer, and they don't name who they are, right? And so there, there's some cat and mouse games there, unfortunately. On the flip side of the coin, we have gotten hired specifically because of who we are. So there are agents. I'm sorry, I phrased that wrong. There's agents who we have as clients who got hired because they use us as a photographer.
Yeah.
And so we've even gone that far, right? And so it's a both and, so it's hard to just, put your finger on the one thing. But I will say that it's a whole model, that, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. We help agents advertise for themselves by tagging them in our socials whenever we put the property on social media. Social media has this whole collaboration utility now where you can say who you worked with on the project. And if they accept your invite for that collaboration, it automatically helps them advertise.
Okay.
It's like, it's a no-brainer.
Okay.
It's a no-brainer. And so when it comes to the closing table kind of stuff, I've seen realtors in the past, tag, the closing company on socials and stuff. Those are all networking opportunities for both you, the agent.
Oh, I love that. When they tag me on a
fantastic.
photo, I think it's fabulous because then other people are like, oh, I saw you. Yeah. And, no one wants to use the attorney that has no business, right? They all want to use someone that's busy. So they see someone, they're like, I meet people and they're like, I see you everywhere. Yeah. You're always out somewhere. Yep. You're always out doing something. And they're like, I'll give you a shot because everyone else seems to think you did good. So I love that. I think that's fabulous. But I also think agents always want referrals themselves. They want reviews themselves. So like when you guys do a great job, they should be out there saying, look who I used, because they should be thanking you for coming out working with them. I do. I think it
comes full circle, right? It comes full circle. And it has to be a two-way street on that, and I think one of the hardest things that I've had to learn, and I'm still adjusting, is when I'm not the boots on the ground, because I was for quite a while. I was always networking with our agents and, congratulating them on their successes and thanking them for our involvement and all that kind of stuff, right? When I got off the road, that activity slowed. I mean, there's others that still champion it who work with us. But to try to get all of our photographers to do that same thing to the degree that I was, it's almost impossible, right? Yeah. And so we're having to change our sights on how client appreciation is communicated. And so that's one of our, we actually just got out of a meeting on how to do that. And we have some ideas on how to do it effectively. And it's hard though, when you're not the point of contact anymore, and you've delegated other things to other people. So
yeah, you always need to have a great team behind you because your team makes the difference, right?
It really does.
That's what it is.
It really does. It really does.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So by and large, obviously you've enjoyed your journey.
I love it. I have no complaints
you're
in life.
You're exuding that.
I feel like I should have complaints in life, but I don't. I don't. I feel like I'm just...
No room for negativity.
I don't have any room for negativity. I wish I had more time in the day. Yeah. I wish I had more time to do other things.
I'll get to work on
but,
that for you.
You know, but yeah, I know. I feel like, some people don't even want 24 hours a day. They just sit at home and they do nothing. I'll just take those hours. If you don't want some extra hours, I could just take yours.
Is there like an hours
Yeah,
fund
is there
that
a
we
thing
can-
like I could just have 30 hours a day and you just get, it's fine.
Yeah.
It works out. But yeah, I think life's great. I mean, we have so much to be grateful for. That's what I think.
What's your husband's name?
My husband's name is Rick.
Rick. Mm-hmm. And what does Rick do? Can you share that?
Yeah, he's a mechanic. He's the foreman for the town of Lexington in the highway department.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Yep. Fixes like street sweepers and big trucks
heavy
and or random lawnmowers. He fixes everything. I don't know. Like whatever comes in, the cars, everything. He used to work as a Ford mechanic for 25 plus years. And then he I got him into doing this, I think about 6 years ago. I said, you should just do this. God, it might even be more than 6 years ago now. And I was in charge of the department, and he loves it. And then he works 7 to 3:30. So his hours are just... But then in the winter, he works when it snows.
Yeah.
Like all the time. Because they have to be there.
I know a couple town employees up in Maine, and it's a love-hate relationship, unfortunately.
Yep. When it snows, it's like, he could be gone for days just sleeping.
It's like a volunteer firefighter.
Yep, that's what it is.
Yep.
But it actually works out that he's been doing a mechanic forever and
does he actually plow as well?
No. So when it snows, the mechanics have to be in the shop waiting for the plows to break.
Yep.
So sometimes, sometimes I make fun of him because it's snowing and he's just sitting in the shop watching a movie, and I'm like, are you even working?
Yeah.
And then other times he's lying on the street and fixing it like in the horrible weather, and I'm like, oh, that's really bad. Like,
he's just at a random place underneath a vehicle.
Yep, 100%.
Oh man.
So he works really hard.
You pay me enough for that.
Oh, I would never be able to do it.
No.
Like the skill set of being able to fix anything. Like I say, how do you even when these random things come in? I think they have like 170 different pieces of equipment or something. He was saying recently.
That's a large product knowledge.
I actually don't even know how you do it, but he just has that skill set. That's
intuition.
Not my skill set of being able to do it. And I'm like, yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah.
So I hired my oldest brother to. I say it rolls off the tongue easier if I say to help me build the property. Okay. I'm helping him build the property. Is the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
But he's not a jack of all trades.
Okay.
He is a master finish carpenter. Like this guy can give you the most elegant finished solution of anything that's made of wood.
I think that's an amazing skill when people can build that stuff and line up and make it. I could never do that.
But
I don't know how they do
it. His passion, out of all things, he's been a mechanic. Yeah. He's been a welder. He's been very light duty electrician, light duty plumber, not like journeyman kind of stuff, but like, his own stuff. But his passion is engineering itself.
Really?
Right. And so what he can do is tear apart almost anything and put it all back together. And to a degree, I identify with that because I love that kind of thing, except I'm more of a visual arts guy. Okay. So like the mechanics of it is less important to me than the actual like feel of it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, right? But what I lack in the mechanics, he makes up for, and what he lacks in the feel of it, I make up for. So like I'm about the presentation, and he's about the technical accuracy, right? And so in between us, we're going to build a really beautiful place, right? But it fascinates me that he just has all this breadth of knowledge that I don't have at all because I've just chosen a different career path, right? It's not because I can't do it; it's that I haven't done it. And he just never ceases to amaze me. He's only been, he and I have only been working on this for about 2 months now.
Really?
Yeah. So the foundation got poured last year, but it sat over the winter because we didn't make any headway on it. But he had some time in the schedule, and I'm like, hey, you want a job? And he's like, yeah. He goes, I could go for some steady work for a while because he's self-employed, and with contracting self-employed, it's all job to job, job to job. Yeah. And so he was looking to try to get something consistent in there. And so I said, look, I can give you 40 plus hours a week for probably about 4 to 5 months. So you want that? He's like, sure. And so we've been making a lot of headway, but the amount of education that he's given me just simply by being available and just being around him, like I'm an information sponge. I may not get it on the first try, but I can guarantee you I'll get it.
Yeah, I love that.
So that's the kind of attitude that we're approaching. And it sounds to me like your husband can completely identify
That's what he does. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Now I'm curious. I was looking at the pictures of your place. What's the time frame on how long it takes? Because I'm fascinated. I'd love to be able to see, like, do you have a guesstimate, or you just kind of just keep, because it's gonna snow.
Yeah.
In Maine.
Yeah.
I mean,
all right,
obviously.
So we actually just finished putting it's completely all of the plywood on the roof and the siding and all that kind of stuff is on. We don't have anything aesthetic on yet.
All right.
So it's nothing glamorous to look at.
Yeah.
Structurally, it's all dry.
Okay.
Meaning that if it snowed or rained,
right,
we'd still have work to do inside and we won't get wet.
Yeah.
Right. And so
but the structure's done
correct.
Like.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
The windows aren't in yet.
Okay.
The next step in the process is for us to close in the soffits, which are the returns from the roof to the siding.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Okay, I don't assume anything.
Yeah.
So we're going to close that in next, and then after that, we'll likely put the windows in so that it's weather tight. And the windows are already on order. We'll probably expect them sometime next week. We have to store them in the basement for a while or whatever, but yeah, it's dried in. And I just went through the process of getting the basement squeegeed and dehumidified because it had collected some water over the time and stuff. And I'm kind of, there's a lot of hindsight 2020 that's happening right now because I didn't hire the right concrete contractor. I thought I did. He had all the makings of it. And even after he did the job, I thought he did a wonderful job. And then my brother came along and he's like, did he do it? No, he didn't do that. Did he do it? No, he didn't do that. And so he's finding all of these little errors in what the concrete guy did. And one of them, unfortunately, is the fact that the basement drain is not recessed enough and it doesn't auto drain the whole basement. It only auto drains that section.
So
and you have to push from the other section to that, which isn't a problem if the place is dry because we don't have water coming in from the sides. It's just coming in from up top. Okay. And so now that it's dry, it went through that very laborious activity of squeegeeing concrete floors, which I don't ever want to really do again. So
that's not going to be your job for the future.
No. I'll do anything once, maybe twice, if I have to 3 times, but eventually, if I do it often enough, I systematize it and I delegate it to somebody else that I'm willing to hire and pay money to.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Sometimes it's worth it.
Oh,
right?
it's most often worth it.
I always like to know how to do things, though.
I do too.
Like, I'd love to just follow random people around just to see what their job is. Like, we did an addition on a house before, and I wanted to know everything about how the contractor put everything together. Not to bother them, just because I just want to know.
You probably paid more for that.
I'm never doing it, but I probably did. At times, I was like, I think I'll offer to help.
Butt charge is happening
he was like,
here.
oh my gosh. I'm like, I could help you. I could do this, and he's like, just leave me alone. It's okay.
My brother told me. So there's this tool that's called the multi-tool. And it really doesn't really serve much other purpose than it has a saw that goes like this. And it's stupid.
Like a table saw?
No. It's literally just this little 2-inch wide saw. Yeah. And it's just got teeth on one end. And it just vibrates back and forth. Okay. And the reason why it exists is because if you have to cut underneath, so like you have the door trim coming down, and you got flooring or another trim piece to put under, you're not going to take a large saw and go.
You can't, right?
You can't. So you have to really ginger cut it with a tool, right? It's called the multi-tool, right? And Finnish carpenters use it a lot to cut tiny little pieces that need to fit just so.
Yeah.
That you can't rip out and put back. It makes the most horrendous sound ever. And it's this high-pitched bzzz kind of thing. And so my brother told me that in jobs past, when he's constantly getting interrupted by the homeowner, he'll just randomly fire up the tool in various areas, even though he might not need it. And it drives them nuts and it makes them go away. So he calls it the what did he say? Something to the effect of the client disappearing tool or something like that.
It is a multi-purpose tool then.
Yeah, it is a multi-tool.
Now, the Finnish carpentry, that's the part I would not be good at because that's like you just got to 100% patience. I'm like the 90% person. Yeah. Like you do a project and I'm like, oh, we'll paint the wall. Yeah. And then I paint all like 90% of it. I leave the edges and then my husband comes along and I'm like, I painted 90%. Yeah. I did 90% of the work. Yep. And he's like,
but
I did all the hard stuff.
That's exactly it.
All of it.
He took probably just as long on cutting the edge as you took on painting the large.
And then I think, well, why did it take you so long? Because I've done the majority of it. I always have like a faster way of like, maybe you could do this. And he's like, maybe you should just like you're not allowed to paint. You're not allowed to do.
See, that's funny because so I asked my brother last week, I said, of all the things that we've done so far, and maybe even the things that we haven't yet done, what's your favorite part of building the house? He goes, of all the things we've done? I'm like, sure. He goes, none. I'm like, of all the things we're going to do? He goes, the finished work. I'm like, you didn't enjoy any of this framing stuff? He goes,
sounds so much more fun.
And I'm up there with him. And I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because here's the thing. This is where I am. You make a lot of progress quickly. Yeah. And it may not be like sexy, but it's like progress. Right? Yeah. And so you get to see the effects of your labor like that.
100%.
Finish carpenters or anybody who's in the fine details business, I call it diminishing returns. They spend all of this time for that little extra something and they find satisfaction in it. And I shake my fist at it. Yeah, and it's not that it's worthless or that it's pointless. It's that I can't do it because I get so nervous or my anxiety goes through the roof because I feel like I'm taking too long and it's not coming right.
But you don't see any results.
Exactly.
I want the results. Exactly. Like that's why I want to do 90% of it and just be like, I like to do the big things. Like, the little stuff. I'm like, that's just, I don't want to do that stuff.
My wife is going to have a field day listening to this podcast because this is the conversation that happens in our home and, why I jump around from thing to thing to thing. I have ADHD, period.
Yeah, 100%. But but you make it work.
I ride the wave.
Yeah, I think it's fabulous. In general, people are like, no. I'm like, no, because you can do so many more things. You can just be multitasking and everything. Like some people literally just sit there and do one thing.
And it drives me nuts. But on the same token, I can't do that. I'm impressed by it. I'm impressed. I can't do it either. I'm impressed by people who can because it's a skill that I lack. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I know I lack that skill, but I don't know if I want to just sit and do one thing.
Oh, I'm not suggesting that I want to do that.
I don't know.
What I'm saying is that I can't get myself to do that because I don't find satisfaction in it. No. And through doing it, it would only be an exercise in frustration at the end of the day.
Yeah.
For me.
So just be like, today I did one thing.
Yeah.
No.
Nope.
Now, I guess we're a lot alike and a lot of things, it's interesting when you have conversations with people, you realize like people's personalities. Like, I think I'm always like out there trying to like meet people because I feel like you connect with people and your personality. And then, some people might be like, your personality is just way too much for me. Like, you know? And then I'm like, oh, that's great. We have another attorney in the office. Yep. His personality is completely opposite than me.
That's the best thing.
That is exactly the thing. We make a great team.
We have 10 different photographers.
100%.
And we have people that get requested and I'm like, you want that photographer? Not that they're bad or anything like that, but like, I mean, we have more seasoned people. Yeah. No, I love this person better. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to argue with them.
Right.
That's for
and
sure.
You're like, it's fabulous. But that's how we all...
Yeah.
Different strengths, different personalities. Like, some people just work better together than others.
That's it.
That's how it works.
Yeah. But I really appreciate you sitting down and having just a off the cuff conversation.
Yeah, this was so fun. I was actually I couldn't expect what I was going to talk about or anything because, you start talking about, well, I love law. I wanted to be a lawyer forever. So I love legal things. Other people don't. They're like, oh, this is so boring. I mean, in a closing, like, it's a whole bunch of paperwork. Sure. It's so boring, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, they're on the transaction end of it and not like the meaning end of it, right?
Yeah, but it's just boring paperwork. You got to I want to chat with people about how long you've been looking for a house for and is this the perfect house and like all of these things, like the funness of it. Yeah. But because otherwise you start talking to people about title searches and people's eyes just like
glaze over.
Yeah, they're like, that sounds so bad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can talk to people about photography, but what's it going to do? I can talk to them about the, inner workings of the camera or how to program it to get a specific effect. They don't care. They want to see the picture.
They 100%. They want to see the picture at the end. That's exactly what it is.
That's fine. Right. That's fine. But knowing where to draw that line, that's the important skill to have. And it sounds to me like you have that. So.
Well, this was fabulous.
So this was fabulous. Tracy, thank you for coming into the studio.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Anything else? How does this work?
I don't know.
At the end? I've never.
Is there anything else?
I don't know. I don't know if there's anything.
That works as a sign off.
Right? That's a good sign off.
Okay. I was like, I don't really know if I'm supposed to say anything else.
No. That's it.
So Kristen said, you're just going to, well, actually I called Neil Fredette yesterday.
Yeah.
And I did. Because I was like, all right, do I want to do this? I don't know if I want to do this. I think I want to do this because I remember seeing it before and I thought I would love to do that. Yeah. But then I was like, I don't make videos. And then Kristen's like, do you want to do it? And then I was like, I don't know, do I? Then I got nervous because I was like, I don't like because I find that I'm very expressionable and I don't mean to be, but that's a downside. I maybe wearing a mask is better, but I'm so expressionable at times that I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to be like, but that's just me, like my personality.
You know who you're supposed to be?
Me.
You.
Yes, but at times I'm like, maybe I wish I wasn't so expressionable. But then I called Neil and said, all right, what's the deal? He's like, no, I loved it. I love Jeremy. I love it. You should do it. It's like the end of discussion. And I was like, oh. Well, I thought you'd like give me a little more insight and you'd have something else to say. You haven't. And he's like, no, just do it. And I was like, oh. I'm like, well, that's a quick call. Like, I feel like you're supposed to. He's like, yeah, no, it's fine.
It's funny. I'm going to see you in 4 days.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about this in front of him.
That's what it is,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that event. I'm super looking forward to it. And
we are too. That's our yearly apple picking event.
Oh, nice.
For me and the family.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take all 4 kids and my wife, and
nice.
We're all going to converge on Top Secret. And I actually have some business to do with Ryan and Lindsay over there.
Yeah, nice.
We're actually going to be going to Vermont next weekend for Lindsay, who owns Top Secret with
I know
with
them.
Ryan.
Yeah.
And they are opening up an Airbnb up there. They already own 2 other Airbnbs.
Yeah. Did they buy one before?
So-
I remember I was
So they have
chatting
the
with
one
her
in
at the
Groton.
public house.
They have the one in Groton in the
Yes.
public house.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I photographed that.
Yeah.
And they also have one on Plum Island.
Okay.
I photographed that one for them.
Okay.
And then we're going up to Vermont in Waitsville, Vermont.
Nice.
And they have an old farmhouse that I haven't seen it firsthand. I've only seen a couple photos that Lindsay sent me. We're talking old New England post and beam. Like we're talking genuine farmhouse here. We're not talking about some reproduction or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And visually looks like they did a great job with the place.
Okay.
Can't wait to go over there and
nice.
give it a good shakedown. That's not this weekend, but the following.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Yeah.